Mercedes Moné isn't the kind of woman who bites her tongue, especially when fans cross the line. One unfortunate soul on social media learned that the hard way after telling her to bring her fine ass back to WWE. That's not just disrespectful, it's wildly inappropriate. And Mercedes wasn't having it. She responded by telling him to take his ugly ass and watch AEW Dynamite. Simple as that. It wasn't just a clapback. It was a reminder that Moné is fully locked into AEW, and she's done asking for permission to shine. The truth is, Mercedes Moné is one of AEW's biggest stars, not just in the women's division, but in the company overall. Her presence, her charisma, her legacy, it all carries weight. And it didn't come out of nowhere. Mercedes has worked for years to reach this point. Through hard matches, career-threatening injuries, burned bridges, contract negotiations, and countless internet rumors, she's still standing tall. Not only that, she's thriving. She bleeds AEW now. She represents all elite wrestling with a pride that's undeniable. And despite what a pocket of bitter fans online may say, she's right where she wants to be. Why is that so hard for some people to accept? The idea that someone can leave WWE, join AEW, and actually want to stay there? Mercedes is not some washed-up ex-WWE talent looking for a paycheck. She's the highest-paid female wrestler in the world right now. That's right, not just in AEW, but in all of pro wrestling. That includes your favorites, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, whoever else you want to name. Tony Khan backed the Brinks truck up for Mercedes, and she earned every penny of it. So when people online constantly push the go back to WWE narrative, it's not just annoying, it's insulting, especially when it's done in such a disrespectful, objectifying way. Mercedes Moné is not an attraction. She's a professional wrestler, an icon, and a businesswoman. She made a choice, several, in fact, to leave WWE, to heal, to rebuild herself, and to chart her own course. She had multiple conversations with WWE across different leadership eras, from Vince McMahon to Triple H. She had the opportunity to return, but she chose AEW. Let that sink in. She chose AEW. In fact, Mercedes has even talked openly about how close she came to going back. During a Super Bowl event, she told a friend she envisioned herself back in WWE, maybe even at WrestleMania 39 in SoFi Stadium. She felt it, she saw it, but that vision changed. Something shifted, and ultimately, she went a different route. She didn't owe WWE anything. She didn't owe the fans a return. She followed her gut, and for that, she deserves nothing but respect. Still, some fans can't help themselves. It's tribalism at its worst. If it's not WWE, they don't want to hear about it. They pop into AEW posts just to spread negativity. They pretend to care about certain wrestlers, but only if it means those wrestlers return to Stamford. They don't support the journey. They don't support the growth. They just want their favorites back under one roof, even if that roof doesn't serve those talents anymore. It's wild to see how entitled some fans feel. They assume they know what's best for these performers. They think someone like Mercedes Moné would be happier in WWE, would be better booked, would have better matches, but how do they know? They've never been in those locker rooms. They've never read those contracts. They've never sat in creative meetings or dealt with backstage politics. They have no clue what Mercedes wants or needs. Only she knows that, and based on her current run, she made the right call. Her debut in AEW was one of the most buzzed about moments of 2024. It wasn't just hype, it was historic. She walked into AEW not as a cast-off, but as a game-changer, a multi-year deal, a centerpiece, a true main eventer. AEW didn't just sign her, they built around her, and she's delivered in every way. Her matches, her promos, her aura, it's all there. She's not just fitting in, she's elevating the brand. Even when she was injured, the company made sure her name stayed relevant. That's how valuable she is. She's not some flash in the pan. She's part of AEW's long-term vision. That 5-year deal isn't just paper, it's commitment. And Mercedes has made it clear she's not going anywhere. That's why the disrespect online hits even harder. Because it's not just about preference, it's about erasing the work she's done. Telling someone like Mercedes to go back implies she made the wrong choice. It suggests AEW isn't enough. That she isn't enough unless she's in WWE. But the truth is, she's doing just fine without Stamford. In fact, she might be better than ever. Let's be real, AEW needs her just as much as she needs AEW. She brings in eyes, She brings in credibility. She brings in fans from all walks of life. Mercedes Moné has fans who have followed her since her days in NXT, through her legendary tag run with Bayley, through her WrestleMania main event moments, through her walkout in 2022, through her Japan run, through her injury, and now to AEW. That's rare, that's power, and she carries it with confidence. Mercedes has also been very vocal about her mental health journey, her battles with confidence, and how wrestling, especially in a new space like AEW, has helped her rediscover herself. AEW gave her creative freedom. They let her be who she is. They welcomed her with open arms and allowed her to shine without trying to mold her into something she's not. That's invaluable. In the past few months, Mercedes has made waves not just in AEW, but across wrestling media. She's been featured in interviews, on magazine covers, and on red carpets. Her influence stretches beyond the ring. She's connecting with fans in fashion, film, anime, and beyond. This is a crossover star we're talking about. Someone with the potential to follow in the footsteps of icons like The Rock and John Cena, not just in wrestling but in Hollywood. She's got that kind of star power. And still, some guy on Twitter thought it was okay to reduce her to just a body, to objectify her and tell her what to do with her career. It's gross. It's unacceptable. And Mercedes handled it the only way she knew how, with a sharp tongue and an unwavering sense of self. What fans need to understand is this: Mercedes Moné isn't a nostalgia act. She's not some relic from the past who's cashing out in her twilight years. She's still in her prime. She's still pushing boundaries. She's still setting trends, and she's doing it on her terms. Most recently, there's been talk that Mercedes may be involved in launching AEW's next big women's storyline that could culminate in a main event PPV spot. If that happens, it will be historic not just for AEW, but for women's wrestling in general. She's also reportedly been in talks for an executive producer-style role on a new AEW documentary series spotlighting the journeys of its top female talent. That's what growth looks like. That's what evolution looks like. She's also using her platform to uplift others. Mercedes was recently seen training with rising AEW talent like Willow Nightingale and Sky Blue, helping elevate their confidence and ring IQ. That's the kind of leader she is behind the scenes, invested, present, supportive. Her presence has already affected the AEW women's division positively. Since her arrival, AEW has seen noticeable spikes in women's segment ratings, merchandise sales, and online engagement. She's not just drawing attention, she's converting it into dollars. And that's really what it all boils down to, right? Mercedes Moné is a smart businesswoman. She made a business move. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't desperate. It was calculated. And it's working. So instead of begging her to go back to WWE, fans should be celebrating what she's doing right now. She's building something new. She's proving that success doesn't always mean going back to where you started. She's not here to relive the past, she's here to shape the future. AEW is lucky to have her. And as long as Mercedes Moné keeps doing things on her own terms, the industry is going to keep shifting around her. That's the power she holds. That's the legacy she's writing. And no amount of bad tweets or misplaced fan fantasies is going to derail that. So, let's all agree to stop with the go back to WWE talk. She's not interested. She's not asking for your career advice. And she certainly doesn't need anyone telling her where she belongs. Because the truth is, Mercedes Moné is exactly where she's supposed to be. Right here, right now, in AEW. And she's not just surviving, she's taking over.